Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be Transformers 1, number 2 would be Beetlejuice, number 3 would be Never Let Go, number 4 would be Speak No Evil, and number 5 would be Deadpool and Wolverine. And I only got 1 out of 5 of my predictions right for this weekend. It wasn't just me getting the number 1 mixed up, it was also 3 and 4 getting mixed up as well. Everybody else thought that number 1 would be Transformers 1. Turns out was not the case. Everyone got their predictions wrong. What was number 1 though was once again Beetlejuice. I'm kind of I mean, we'll talk about it more when we get to Transformers 1. It's not that I couldn't see Beetlejuice doing this, it's just I think I was expecting a little bit more just because Transformers 1 had a lot more of like a little bit of a positive buzz circulating it, you know? And I know Beetlejuice, people have been waiting years for this, and Transformers, I mean, we got another Transformers movie last year. It's not completely animated, it's another, live action one, but still. Either way, Beetlejuice made 26 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 226 million for Tim Burton. It did outgross Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by 20 million, so it's now sitting behind the original Batman, the 89 film, by 25 million. Right now, it is Tim Burton's third highest grossing domestic run ever. Worldwide, it is sitting at 329 million, so it has outgrossed Batman Returns by 63 million and Miss Peregrine by 34. It is now sitting behind Dumbo by 24, and then it'll be in the top 5 highest grossing worldwide runs for Tim Burton, which is pretty incredible. I'm actually kind of shocked, I think, to remember at least that Dumbo ended up in his top 5. And I'm sure that Tim Burton can't wait for this movie to outgross that one just so it can be a little bit lower on that list. That's kind of shocking to me. Like in my opinion, his definitive worst movie. Still, I think overall it flopped, but it made some money overseas, something like that. Did it overall flop? I don't know, and I'm not looking up the numbers right now. Why would I want to think about Dumbo? Anyways, let's move on to number 2, which is Transformers 1, which is something I think people really want others to break down, so we're going to try our best here. We kind of talked about earlier why I thought it was going to be number 1, because there was a lot of positive buzz coming from early screenings they were doing, like at Comic-Con, like the special fan event stuff that they were doing. I went to the one on the Wednesday night, 2 nights before it came out. And a lot of people were buzzing about it, like, yeah, this is the best film they've made, this is really good, the trailers don't do it justice. Maybe it was the trailers that kind of put people off, like, oh, I'm so used to the live action intensity of the Bay films, or what Stephen Cable Jr. just did with Rise of the Beast, or even the Travis Knight one, and this one might have, marketed itself as maybe too kiddie even for fans of the 2 more recent films. Whatever reason it may be, it's kind of almost pointless speculating, because sometimes, the marketing can be good, the word of mouth can be good, and then people just don't see it anyways. So we can speculate what happened overall, though it doesn't change the fact that Transformers 1, at least on its opening weekend, did not really garner that much attention. It was so close to getting number 1, but it opened to $25 million domestically, and then worldwide, I was kind of expecting a bigger boost looking here, but it's only sitting at 39 million. Of course, there are some other places worldwide for it to still be released, but this is, for its opening debut, this is kind of abysmal, even if you do take into consideration that the budget is considerably lower than the live action films. It's been reported that the initial production budget is 75 million. That still means, though, that they need to at least double that to be considered a success, and 39 million for a worldwide debut is not really the best sign for that, especially since next weekend is another animated film about a robot. It's not Transformers, doesn't take place on Cybertron, but, The Wild Robot is technically a kid's book series. So there are some kids who probably read those books that are looking forward to it, some kids just seeing a full animated film like that and wanting to see more of it. I don't know what specifically might get more people into that as opposed to Transformers. I don't know. I just... Either way, I don't think it'll be good for Transformers next weekend. Now, of course, it can hold over well. Maybe the positive word of mouth will spread, but like I said, with the other film just right around the corner, some people might even be overlooking this one, waiting for The Wild Robot. And if anything, The Wild Robot has much better buzz. Like Transformers 1 has gotten a lot of really great positive word of mouth, but The Wild Robot, some people are like, yeah, this is the Puss in Boots, the last wish of this year. DreamWorks did put out another, fantastic film. So people are kind of overlooking Transformers 1. So I don't even know if it'll even have the best kind of staying power. I know once again they're talking about, this will be the kickoff of another bunch of films, and they recently like rumored that Chris Hemsworth is going to star, not as Optimus Prime, but Chris Hemsworth will be in the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover. I did Rise of the Beast even do well enough to warrant that? I don't even really know. I think it's just also that thing of like Transformers. It's been really done to death. I mean, if you want to talk about, going back to what we were saying with Beetlejuice, how did that one hold over better than Transformers' debut? And I think it's because people have been kind of waiting and anticipating a potential Beetlejuice 2, and now it's finally here. Meanwhile, Transformers, 2007, 2009, 2011, 2014, 2017, and then the year after that, and then, a couple years off, and then we're back at it with 2023, and then once again we got another one, and I don't think, even though I do enjoy Bumblebee and Rise of the Beast is, entertaining, and 1 is the best. I've seen the movie. Transformers 1 is the best film that they've made, obviously. I think people are just kind of worn out and kind of just over it overall. So, of course, I'm not ruling anything out as far as like it could potentially have a great holdover and double this budget, and maybe they'll make more, similar to kind of how like the Spider-Verse film, like Into the Spider-Verse, did pretty like solidly at the box office, but that word of mouth spread into home video sales, and then the sequel, they got to make the sequel, and the sequel got bigger numbers. I'm not sure if this debut though is enough to warrant that, especially like I said, the timing of it all. It's not like this movie's opening up in December like Into the Spider-Verse did, or even Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This is in September with not just The Wild Robot next week, but Joker 2 the week after that. So it's just really not looking good for this. It kind of bums me out because this is a really good movie. Anyways, though, let's go over some of these stats, because like I've been kind of alluding to, it's kind of looking bad for the Transformers as a film franchise. Opening weekend is 4 million over Bumblebee, so there's that at least, and 24 million over the original animated film, obviously, but it's 19 million below The Last Night, 36 million below Rise of the Beast, 45 million below the 2007 one, 72 million below Dark of the Moon, 75 million below Age of Extinction, and 83 million below Revenge of the Fallen. People are not into this, it seems. Like, if you're just going by that. And then right now, domestic run-wise, it has already outgrossed the original animated film by 20 million, but it needs 102 million domestically to outgross Bumblebee. Does it have the kind of legs, the staying power, the momentum to get there? Genuinely, I don't know. It had a better opening than Bumblebee, but I think Bumblebee, that one did come out in December, so that had a pretty solid run. This one, I think this one's fucked if I'm going to just make a prediction now, and I've made predictions that are wrong, but still, just going by what's here. Worldwide, it's over the original animated film by 34 million, but now it needs 400 million until it outgrosses Rise of the Beasts. Not a great spot, and I kind of said earlier it still has some other places to be released worldwide, but and I didn't like count it out specifically, I just eyeballed it, but it looks like it did get released in the majority of the countries it was getting released in this weekend or last weekend, and next week and the week after is kind of like the straggler one, so it would have to really boom in those other territories. I don't know. This this could be the doom and gloom for Transformers once and for all. No skating by on this one. The budget is still relatively low enough, so as long as they cross over 150 million worldwide, they can maybe write off that this was a profit. I don't know. We'll see if that Chris Hemsworth G.I. Joe Transformers one is even going to happen. Number 3 is Speak No Evil, which, yeah, last weekend I made my prediction that Never Let Go was going to, come out on top. Not the case. Speak No Evil still had some support here, opening to 5.9 million, adding to a domestic total of 21 million. So for the director, James Watkins, it is 33 million away from Woman in Black. Worldwide, it is sitting at 42 million, so 86 million away from that film, but it has doubled its 15 million initial production budget, and they are literally 3 million away from tripling it. So there you go, Blumhouse, another low budget victory. You did it, making more money than Transformers right now, that's for certain. Number 4 is Never Let Go, though. This one made 4.5 million, so on a budget of $20 million allegedly. Yeah, not great, and there's no worldwide total to boost that up yet. Blink Twice was one that had a 20 million initial production budget, and even though it's not in the top 10, so I couldn't talk about it, it did cross over the doubling point of that budget, but I think that one had maybe a better kind of word of mouth or kind of like marketing angle to it, as far as like it's Channing Tatum in this kind of villainous role, and it goes in these unexpected dark directions, and it's Zoe Kravitz directing, and then Never Let Go is just, it's Halle Berry. You know what I mean? Like there's not really like much to jump off of other than like Halle Berry's in it, but and she's probably a nice person, and she is a talented actress, but I can't really think of the last time people got really hyped up about Halle Berry being in a film or leading it. So it's like that kind of explains why this one is not doing better than like Speak No Evil or something like that. And then when you look at the director, Alexander Aja, who's done a couple films throughout his career that you might not even know he made, The Opening, it's 3 million over his film High Tension, 4 million over Horns, the Netflix film Oxygen, because, Netflix, and The Ninth Life of Louis Drax, but its opening weekend was 6 million below Piranha 3D, 7 million below Mirrors, 8 million below Crawl, and 12 million below his remake of Hills Have Eyes. Now, it's not too bad, like, they're all kind of relatively close enough, but still, it's like, this guy has been, working in Hollywood, making movies for, several years now, even doing a Netflix film, a French Netflix film, and it just seems like, a lot of people's goals would be to grow, like really make a name for yourself. And I feel like he's, people will know his name if you're like in like the communities that will watch these movies. So like horror fans, horror fans know who Alexander Aja is. Not a lot of people do. And I feel like this movie, maybe they thought they had something here to really propel him even more, like get people aware that this is, he is a really special filmmaker, made these other films that you enjoy. I don't think there's a lot of eyes on this, though. There's no worldwide total to boost it up, like I said. So right now, the 4.5 million just looks very lonely. As far as domestic runs, it did outgross High Tension by 1 million, and it's 4 million over Horns, Oxygen, and Ninth Life of Louis Drax, but it needs 21 million until it outgrosses Piranha 3D. It's not looking like it has any kind of momentum to do that, unfortunately. Let's move on to number 5, which is Deadpool and Wolverine, making 3.9 million, adding to a domestic total of 627 million. So recently it did cross that milestone. It outgrossed the original Avengers by 4 million. So it is officially in the top 5 highest grossing MCU runs domestically ever. It now sits behind Infinity War by 51 million. I think it's safe to say it's lost the momentum to keep outgrossing movies domestically, at least for the MCU, but, top 5 is pretty spectacular, right? Worldwide, it is sitting at 1.316 billion, so it did not outgross Black Panther here yet, so it's still only the 7th highest grossing MCU film worldwide, but now it's sitting behind that one by 18 million, so the possibility is still there, if it has enough of a good hold here in the States and then in the other countries worldwide, to add an overall worldwide total. It just it is slowing down a bit, though, so you know what I mean, like expect it to drop out of here soon, but it's had an amazing run, and it's not going to be like an immediate dip. It's happening is all I'm saying. Number 6, I was kind of surprised, actually. I'm not sure why. It's not like it got into the top 5, but still, The Substance, my favorite film of the year so far, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. This movie is wild, and I was kind of surprised when I saw it, and like, it wasn't like a huge theater, it was like a medium-sized theater, and there were like a ton of people there, and I thought, okay, how many of these people are going to leave? None of them left, so that's good. And like walking out, it seemed like there were people that were like really into it. I'm not sure if, I can say they like fully loved it, but, they were certainly talking, they couldn't wait to look to the people next to them and start talking about it. And I was also shocked to find out for a movie as weird as this, it only got a B cinema score, which for cinema, obviously that's not great for cinema score, but like usually movies like that will get like really low. Just off the top of my head, Darren Aronofsky's Mother got like an F or like D, something like that. Like, weird movies don't usually do well with, like, cinema score, but The Substance did. It worked for some people. And you know what? That's great. I'm glad some people are finding this. It made 3.1 million this weekend though. It is, however, on a budget apparently of 17.5 million, so it's not looking like it's going to be like doubling that anytime soon. But the fact that this movie like did better than I thought, it has people's attention now. So the slow build, to a cult following to then just overall mainstream kind of love, I think we're on the right track here. So that's fantastic. I'm really excited for Corley Farjo, the director. This is really fantastic. Like I said, even though it's not going to be like making gangbusters at the box office for the kind of movie this is, I would say it is actually. Like considering all of the parameters, like I thought it was going to do much worse. And it's done pretty well for itself this weekend, actually. Number 7 is Am I Racist, making 2.5 million, adding to a domestic total of $9 million. There's no worldwide total still, but it did manage to triple its initial production budget of $3 million. I'm sure Jeremy Jahns is creaming in his jeans right now. Let's move on to number 8, which is Reagan, making 1.6 million, adding to a domestic total of 26 million. So they did cross over the initial production budget of 25 million. Worldwide totals don't exist. So they still have about 24 million to go until they double this initial production budget, which, for our show is the, standard rule of thumb. If you're a success, you double the budget. Crossing over the initial point is okay, though. I mean, I don't know how much marketing they put into this. Maybe 25, maybe they only need to make like 35 million to break even. I don't know what else went into this movie, but it's slowed down enough where it might not even get to those numbers, at least the 35 one. So there you go. I have nothing else to add. Number 9 is Jungkook, I Am Still. I'm assuming, hopefully correctly, that this is like a concert film. Made 1.4 million, adding to a domestic total of 2.5 million, but worldwide it is sitting at 8.6. So I don't know. I have nothing to add here. It's in the top 10, and I have to mention it, obviously, but just I have nothing. I got nothing. I don't know who this is. like I said, like I'm assuming it's a concert. I don't even know if that's true. He could be like a stand-up comedian. I don't know. I don't know, genuinely. Anyways, closing out the video though, number 10 is Alien Romulus, making 1.3 million, adding to a domestic total of 103 million. So before it leaves the top 10, its final placement for this series of videos was 23 million behind Prometheus. So inched close to outgrossing that and being the highest grossing alien film domestically. Didn't get there. Worldwide, it is sitting at $341 million. So 61 million away from Prometheus. So in both spots, inched very close. Even once it gets out of the top 10, I don't see it outgrossing Prometheus there, getting some like sudden boom worldwide. That'd be cool. I don't think that's going to happen though. But still, quadrupling that 80 million initial production budget, that's the victory right there. You know what I mean? That's the victory. Like when Alien Covenant came out and that one was like costing like over 100 million and it only made over 200 million, it was like, well, maybe it broke even at least a little bit, but it's kind of not enough to keep investing in this stuff, you know what I mean? Especially if like the budget is expected to go up because it's a sequel. This is like a good reminder, like, okay, you can strip it down. It doesn't need to be like over 100 million. You can, it can also go back to like The Creator last year. Even though it didn't do well, it showed studios, you don't have to put so much money into a movie to make it look good. That one was a double-digit million one, and so is this one. So there you go, baby. Anyways, now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. And like I was saying earlier, I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know, with The Wild Robot and Transformers 1 literally competing with themselves. What a bad placement. I don't know who decided that release, because I mean, I don't think it's going to be good for Transformers 1. I wonder if it'll affect The Wild Robot at all, too. But I do think that one will be number 1, like I was saying earlier. It's a kids' book series. I think there are people who are aware of it. I'm sure they're promoting it all over, like, the Cartoon Network or, Nickelodeon or, whoever would be promoting it, whatever channels kids watch these days. I'm sure it's all over there, and kids are like, I want to see that. Number 2, I think, will be Beetlejuice. Number 3, I think, will be Transformers 1. This might be gutsy. Number 4, I think, will be Megalopolis. I know people are saying, like, it's got the worst pre-sale records ever. I feel like, it's not close to release yet. Some people will still buy tickets closer to the release day, especially, like, some people who will still insist on paying at the theater instead of doing it online. Like, those people do exist, so, I don't want to rule them out. I think it'll do well enough to get to number 4 just based off of its Francis Ford Coppola, and there's just this string of controversy surrounding this film, like from the AI critic reviews in the trailer to Francis Ford Coppola's alleged behavior on set, what the visual effects workers had to say about working on the movie, the fact that Shia LaBeouf and Jon Voight are in it. So I feel like enough curiosity will be piqued to get it to number 4, but I don't think it will do well. I think this will be a flop, but it will do better than I think. And then number 5, I think, will be My Old Ass. Anyways, what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave them in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.